Hey, you guys, MHN by Shatera M here, Goddess Intuition. I hope you guys are doing fabulous, honey, because I am. Okay, so I'm just going to be talking about a few different things, nothing too heavy. So I did fill in my brows, as you can see, and I did pop on some lashes, but I've been using my avocado mask for the past 2 days, and I love it. I don't have on any makeup, and so when I'm doing makeup, I love to, in between time, really pay attention to my skin and what I'm using. Because it can be really difficult when you're doing like different looks and you're using different products, and you may not be having a great skin day, what have you. You may have a breakout, whatever. So, um, in between that time, I like to take breaks, and when I do take my breaks, I like to make sure that my skin is getting plenty of water, plenty of skin food, you know, uh, um, vegetables, fruits. So it's so crazy because I remember, and it was just a thought that came to me, and I was eating something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I asked myself, can I put this on my skin? And from that moment, I started to do like research. I started to really pay attention to the things that I'm putting inside of my body, because um just even on a whole spiritual level is a whole different experience. But um just speaking in terms of like the basics, it's like if I can eat this, I should be able to put it on my skin and not have any breakouts or not experience any kind of harsh, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the times um, the things that we eat, of course, is horrible, and then it shows up on our skin. So, and it's something, because I've been really getting in tune with just different foods, different um, vegetables, different fruits. And so the avocado just really been, it has really been just popping up for me. So I'm like, let me just do some research a little bit more. And it has a lot of beautiful healing properties. You can combine um, avocado with different foods, and it helps with weight loss. It helps with inflammation in the skin. It helps to tighten up the skin. And so I'm like, wow, it's instead of us putting a lot of like toxins on our body, and in our body, it's good to really rely on different tools that we have here, that is natural, you know what I'm saying, and that is a really great source to use. And so I've really been kind of diving deep in that. I'm like, okay, just something to learn. It's always something new to learn, whether it comes to a vegetable, an animal. I've been kind of getting in tune with different animals, and so I'm like, let me look up the spiritual meaning behind different things, you know what I'm saying, just to not sometimes be so basic. Let me just do some research. And even then, um, while doing the research, it's like sometimes you can get lost up in it. So I like to always pay attention to what's popping up. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, with the whole avocado thing. And then um, the frog has been popping up also. Um, the spirit animal. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, let me kind of step away from everything that I've been reading and I've listened to on videos, and just kind of go within and see what it means for me. See how I feel about it. And when I really connect, it's like that's it your environment will speak that and reflect that back to you. So I'm like, wow, I've been thinking about frogs lately. I've been thinking about green, green things. I have been eating a lot of like green vegetables. So, you know what I'm saying? And it's something because it just pops up. And it's like, let me not hurry up and run to Google, but how do I feel about it first? Then I'm able to look up the spiritual aspects of it and just kind of compare, contrast, um, all information is good, whether you looking it up on Google or if you read it in a book. It's not, it's not, truth. It's just information. It's just information that has a filter or a perspective of something else or someone else. And so I like to look at things as such, not so much as face value, like, okay, this is just that one thing and boom, that's all it is. No, because if we're multi-dimensional beings already, of course, um, the things that we have is too the tools that we have here as well. You know what I'm saying? And so you can't just look at one thing and take it as is. It's like, okay, what's the deeper meaning? Is there has to be a deeper meaning. Just like with nature, there has to be a different and a different way of looking and seeing it, but it has to be deeper. You know what I'm saying? Um, because when we look at things, we're looking at the result. We're not looking on the spiritual, and we can really see it in physical form, but we're not understanding how it's done on a spiritual level. And when I say spiritual, I don't want to get lost in the words, but when I say spiritual, what I mean is unseen. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to get lost into the whole terminology of any sort, because once we begin to label things, then we begin to get lost in those labels. And so um, just the unseen factors of creation. So, and just I've like, even, okay, broccoli. I bought some broccoli from the store, and it's like the broccoli began to speak to me, and I'm like, wow, that's something, because it looks like a tree, but it carries information. You know what I'm saying? Just like how we look at the trees and we know that the root is the root source, and then there's the trunk of the tree, and then it has um the branches, and then the leaves. You know what I'm saying? And so it's all information, it's all connection. But it's something, because it's a world inside of a world, inside of a world, inside of a world, or creation inside of creation, inside of creation, inside of creation. So it's always something deeper, and it's like, of course, we're not. It's infinite, and it's ever changing. It's shifting. So we're not gonna just get it and pinpoint it, and that it's that. It's gonna always have something, a deeper meaning. Whatever, whether we're talking about the unknown or creation, people, you know what I'm saying? So it's just really fascinating how you can look at something and it just transform your whole everything. So that's what I've really been working on. Um, Also, oh, that's cute. Also, spirituality, and beauty, working with different, just elements, colors. It's it's really been a journey, because it's like I'm looking at things and I don't identify with the label anymore, or I don't identify with how I would see how I would see something, and it just looks totally different to me now that I've opened up my mind, um allowed myself to really just dive into that side of things and just look at things from a different perspective, and not just a look at something and it has to be wrong or right, or it has to be good or bad. When we take away all of the labels And when we take away just the whole concept of having to be right, wrong, good, bad, it's like you can experience whatever it is that you're feeling, going through, or um whatever, you can kind of experience it on a level of openness and not being so lost and caught up in, is it right or wrong, or is it good or bad. Anything, too much of anything, whether you love it or not, is bad. And I don't want to say bad as in terms of um what I mean is basically like transforming. If you love something so much to where you just can't let it go, then it's going to work against you in some form and fashion, because you're holding on to it so much, you're so afraid to let it go. You know what I'm saying? So um and it's the same thing when we look at different things, when we look at different people, when we look at different objects. You can look at it from a point of having a closed mind and not even being aware of how closed off you really are. So it's like, and when you do tap into that, it's like, wow, I've been missing this the whole time. How? That's because you haven't allowed yourself to really open up and really accept and surrender to that feeling of just the experience. Yes, we go through different phases. It's cycles, so, and processes, but it's not always bad. Every lesson is not a bad lesson. You know what I'm saying? It's information, it's nature, it's multidimensional, it's everything. you know and once we start to look at things just from that level, you are able to like learn and see things on a greater scale. Whether we're talking about light or dark, that's something else to get lost into. Light or dark, what's light, what's dark. um I know for me, I like to work with contrast. I like to work behind the scenes. I don't know if it's the Virgo in me because I have Virgo in my chart, but um and just like that detail aspect of things, it's really fascinating to know the base of something, and then you're able to add and build onto it, or you're able to look at something and you're able to um have an aware way of looking at it, and knowing that it's something so much greater and so much deeper. That's fascinating to me, actually. um and just working with different elements. For me, I was afraid to dive deep because I didn't know if it was good or bad, or if it was right or wrong. I was afraid to, which a lot of people are, because they, keep us in this space of construct, um, very surface based conception.